Sports Talk with Alan Sliwa. The show for everything Lakers and NBA playoffs. On AM 570 LA Sports and streaming on the iHeartRadio app. Now, here's your host, Alan Sliwa.
What is going on, Laker fans? Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. 8 a.m. here on the dot. We are on AM 570. Thank you for being a part of the show. And we are talking the Los Angeles Lakers eliminating the Houston Rockets last night, handling business, winning the series 4-2. We got a lot to get into this morning. For those who don't know, we are reacting basically after every Los Angeles Lakers game. Doesn't matter if it's a weekend, doesn't matter if it's a weekday. We'll be here on AM 570 throughout the playoffs, and really looking forward to spending the next hour not just breaking things down, not just bringing on a guest, but also talking Lakers basketball with anybody that's out there that's driving around or maybe listening on the iHeartRadio app. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you being here, and we got a lot to break down today. All right, let me start off with this. Lakers take out the Houston Rockets. They win 4-2. Yes, they had lost a couple games in a row, but you know what? You built yourself a cushion. You were up 3-0, so you had some games to lose. You didn't have to be perfect. They certainly weren't perfect, but they were pretty damn good against the Rockets team that's incredibly young, didn't have Kevin Durant, had some injuries, but so did the Lakers. So Lakers will move on. They got the Oklahoma City Thunder coming up next. That first game is going to be on Tuesday in OKC. So before we start looking ahead and getting excited about the Lakers going up against by far the best team in the league, let's obviously break down what we just saw, Lakers and the Rockets. If you want to be a part of the conversation today, if you want to talk Lakers basketball, I'll throw out the phone number. One of my favorite things to do, this is my 10th year covering the Los Angeles Lakers, one of my favorite things to do on radio, get a chance to connect with Laker fans, let them give their opinion, voice their thoughts on what they've seen so far. The phone number, 866-987-2570, 866-987-2570. Like I said, anyone feel free to call and we'll talk some Lakers basketball. So I could kind of start in a number of different ways, and let's just talk about the series as a whole. And then I want to talk about LeBron, JJ Redick, some of the role players. So we got a lot of things that we're going to hit on. Khobi Price, by the way, who covers the Lakers for the California Post, was in Houston last night for the game. He's going to join us in about a half hour or so. Lakers close out the series. They take out the Houston Rockets. Kind of an odd series. I was there for a couple of these home games in LA. When I say odd, here's what I mean by that. Coming into the series, you don't have Luka. You don't have Austin Reeves. You have no idea if these guys are going to be able to come and participate in any fashion against the Houston Rockets in the series. We got Austin Reeves late, but again, starting the series, nobody kind of knew what was going on. I'm there for game one. Ime Udoka is getting ready to talk and kind of shocks everyone. Hey, KD is out. Kevin Durant ends up missing 5 of these 6 games. The only game that he played was game 2 and had a different injury that held him out. So we never got to see what the full potential of the Rockets were, and we never got to see what would be the full potential of the Lakers. It happens. This is sports. Injuries usually dictate how far a team goes. What do they say? The healthiest and the hottest teams are usually the teams that end up winning it all. I think for me, watching this series play out, I learned a lot of things. And some of the things I learned from a Laker perspective is they got a lot of guys that are willing to roll up their sleeves, to battle, to fight, to kind of leave it all on the floor, if you want to say. They don't mind being underdogs. I think JJ Redick kind of brilliantly used a lot of the chatter and the conversation on the outside to bring it on the inside and use that as motivation to go take out the Houston Rockets. Clearly, the Lakers were the better team. Give Houston some credit. When they went down 0-3 to go win a couple of games, especially that game at Crypto, I think they deserve some credit, but they could keep playing this series, and they could play a best of 11. Lakers are going to win probably 7 of these games. They're the better team. I thought this series was determined in Game 3. Actually, I'll go even a little bit before that. You could say this game was determined, or this series was determined in the first 2 games. For the Lakers to jump out in this series 2-0 and to kind of establish this, we're going to muddy the water, we're going to play tough, We're going to kind of take the style that the Houston Rockets want to play, and we're going to punch them back the same exact way they want to play against us. I thought the Lakers' defense over the 4 games that they won was just phenomenal. I mean, last night, you gave up 78 points in a closeout game on the road. Literally, you can't ask for a better performance. And I know, listen, we'll get into the Luke Kennard piece of things. Hey, look at LeBron and how unbelievable he was in this series, and contributions from Marcus Smart and Rui Hachimura. We'll get into all that. We'll talk about, obviously how the Lakers, how individual players were able to be so effective. But you don't have to look very far here. 3 of the 4 games that they won, they held the Rockets not just below 100 points, well below 100. 98 in Game 1, 94 in Game 2. 78 points in Game 6. By the way, in one of their losses, they held the Rockets to 99 points. Of course, the win that they came back, that one went to OT. They gave up 108. One of the things that I think was so impressive by the Lakers in this series is defensively, I thought they were brilliant. And that really kind of set the tone for them. And we don't have to look at the Thunder yet, and I don't know what's going to happen against Oklahoma City. We'll kind of leave that. That's not important at the moment. But how the Lakers ended up beating the Houston Rockets, I just think that, those first 2 games, they set a tone. And those first 2 games, grabbing them at home and protecting home court and not giving the Rockets any faith, not letting the Rockets think. It is not easy to come back from an 0-2 deficit, let alone 0-3. We obviously know the stats in 0-3. It's never happened in the history of the NBA, and it certainly didn't happen in this series as well. But down or to kind of bury the Rockets in those first 2 games when everybody thought, hey, Houston's going to be the team. Lakers win Game 1, no KD. KD comes back Game 2, and they still won that game. To give up an average of 96 points in those first 2 games. That's how the Lakers won this series, because I think everything else that happened after that, the Lakers obviously set the tone and let things be known. Game 3, we know what happened, the colossal failure and the collapse by the Houston Rockets. Well, that's their problem. That ain't the Lakers' problem. Lakers were down 6 with under 30 seconds left to go, and they didn't have the ball, and Marcus Smart decided that he's going to keep playing. The Houston Rockets made a lot of, careless, I don't even know what to tell you, the type of errors that they made. Building a 3-0 lead, it was just going to be a matter of time. And this Houston Rockets team, it ain't the Thunder. It's not the San Antonio Spurs. It's not the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. It's not the Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker Spurs. I mean, this is the Houston Rockets, a very, very young team that has got a long way to go in their maturity and everything else. And you knew when it was 0-3, it's like, yeah, this thing is definitely a wrap. Maybe Lakers made it a little bit more interesting than they needed to. Certainly Game 5 was a frustrating one, but you had to have a lot of things go right for the Rockets in some of those in Game 5, and a lot of things go wrong for the Lakers. It just felt like I was doing my show yesterday morning. I had Mark Medina come on. Him and I were having the conversation, and both, trust me, I predicted a lot of wrong things in this series, but him and I were both talking about it before the game, and both of us felt the same way. I'm like, I don't feel like they're losing Game 6. They didn't. They put their foot down early. Again, they let defense be the foundation, and they walked away with a series win. So obviously phenomenal stuff from that perspective. I will say this, and I'll start the show out this way as well. Watching LeBron still be the best player on the floor at age 41, it's I appreciate it. Not everybody has to. I know there's always kind of odd conversations when it comes to LeBron. People sometimes want to tie and say, yeah, but he's not the greatest. Like, I don't even know how people want to tie LeBron, but every time I hear it, it's just, honestly, it's just noise to me. Appreciate one of the best players to ever do it. Last night in a closeout game, 28-8-7. I like listening to Charles Barkley. I really do. Do I think some of the stuff he says is absurd? Of course I do. That's fine. That kind of comes with the territory. He's a personality. He's going to say anything that's on his mind. I was doing a show on 570 on Thursday morning, and while I was doing the show, I played some sound from Charles Barkley, and it was Barkley basically saying that, look, this series now, Lakers are in a tough spot. Don't expect LeBron to do what he was doing early in the series. There's going to be a lot less rest now the rest of the way. More and more pressure going on the Lakers, which a lot of that stuff I don't think was inaccurate. But here's something, and I said this on Thursday, and I'll say it again this morning as we do this show. I am the last couple of years I have said in regards to LeBron, guys, he's got to slow down and he's not going to be the same player and this and that. I remember saying on Thursday after I played that sound of Charles Barkley, I was like, look, I learned a long time ago, doubting LeBron James is just, it's not a smart move. It's strategically, you're going to fail if you doubt LeBron James. LeBron in a closeout game yesterday was the best player on the floor. LeBron in this series was the best player in the series, and he's 41 years old. And there's some good players in this series. I'm not telling you that they're MVPs. I know Nikola Jokic wasn't out there. Of course, Luka's not playing. KD missed 5 of the 6 games. I definitely understand that, these are not your top 3 or top 4 MVP vote getters that are playing in this series. But you got some good young players that you would think would outlast the 41-year-old, and the absolute truth is that wasn't the case. Barkley, I hope, learns from his mistake on Thursday. Do not count out LeBron James, period. Closes it out last night. By far the best player. Set the tone for the Lakers. Continues to do things at an age that just doesn't make sense, and nobody's going to fully understand. But what I would tell you, and as somebody that grew up a Laker fan, and I'm sure there's a lot of listeners this morning that were watching that game last night, just try to appreciate what LeBron's doing. He's still carrying the Lakers. We know Luka Doncic is the best player on this Lakers team. We know he's the present. We know he's the future. But LeBron can't get out of the mix. He continues to just be a top performer night in and night out. I want to play a couple things here for you guys, but let me play this one real quick. I thought this was kind of funny. So yesterday, right after the game on Amazon Prime, the question was being asked. I forget who asked it. Maybe it was Udonis Haslem. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the conversation about Father Time, the conversation about LeBron going up against Father Time. Take a quick listen here. This is LeBron talking about Father Time on last night's broadcast postgame.
Hey, LeBron, last one before you go. We all keep saying it's you versus Father Time. What's the score?
I'm kicking his ass.
Yes. Facts. Facts.
He could go to somebody else at this point. He already lost to me. It's over with.
Great stuff. Thanks for your time, LeBron.
He's 100% right, too. LeBron has kicked Father Time's ass, and obviously last night is just another example of it. So Lakers figure out a way to close out the Houston Rockets. One thing I want to point out as well, and I think deserves a lot of conversation, it was cool to watch JJ Redick get his first playoff series win. I think JJ's there's a lot of Laker fans, which I get. I'm completely okay with. I understand. A lot of people out there say in regards to JJ, hey, Al, it's great that he got 50 wins in his first season. It's great that he got 53 wins in his second season. But I want to see it in the playoffs. I want to see the best version of JJ Redick come postseason. And I thought last night you saw that. Yes, they were up 3-2. Yes, they had lost 2 games in a row. Yes, there was more and more pressure coming on the Lakers. I was there postgame a couple of nights ago at Crypto, where JJ Redick was basically saying, look, we took the first 3. They took the last 2. We got to close this thing out. There wasn't a player on that floor yesterday. There wasn't anybody a part of the coaching staff that didn't believe that the Lakers were going to close out that game yesterday. They came out possessed last night. A lot of that starts with your head coach. I think last night was a great example of how a head coach can will your team to a W. Now, JJ can't go out and take jumpers and grab rebounds and play defense, but he can certainly have his team ready to go. And I thought he did a phenomenal job yesterday of getting the Lakers ready to go for that Game 6 closeout game, which is exactly what they did. When we come back, let's do a couple things. I got some sound that I want to play on JJ Redick on the Lakers win. I got LeBron breaking down how everybody else stepped up for the Lakers against the Houston Rockets. I want to spend some time talking about the role players. Khobi Price from the California Post covers the Los Angeles Lakers, will be joining us in about 15 minutes or so. And just as important as all of that, let's get some Laker phone calls in as well. Try to sneak in a couple of calls. The phone number, 866-987-2570, 866-987-2570. Lakers take out the Houston Rockets last night. They win the series 4-2. Next round, the best team in the NBA, and it's not even close, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Stay right here. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. I'm Alan Sliwa, and this is Hoops Talk on AM 570.
Back to more Hoops Talk with Alan Sliwa, breaking down the NBA playoffs on AM 570 LA Sports.
Lakers take out the Houston Rockets last night. They win the series 4-2. Shout out to AM 570, this great partnership that we have with my channel. So those who don't know, this is my 10th year covering the Los Angeles Lakers. Had a mic for a pretty long time out here in Los Angeles talking Lakers basketball. And now you could catch me on YouTube Monday through Friday starting at 8 a.m. I do a Laker NBA show. And also this partnership that we have now with the iHeartRadio network, and then reacting to games and doing live shows with AM 570 as well. So really enjoying that. If you want to be a part of the show this morning, would love to have you part of the show. 866-987-2570, 866-987-2570 if you want to talk Lakers basketball. Let me play some sound here real quick. JJ Redick was talking about the Lakers win last night, and I think this is that's a great way to kind of put a bow on this series in regards to how the Lakers did what they did. Take a quick listen to JJ Redick, and we'll continue talking about the Lakers W.
Part of my, existence in life is gratitude. I'm so grateful to represent the Lakers. I'm so grateful for our players. I'm so grateful for my staff. And it's doing this, it's such a collective effort. And I wish people understood how many people put their heart and soul into something just to, try to go win a basketball game. It's awesome. So I'm just gratitude for me.
All right, so Redick gets his first playoff series win. Happy for him to do so. I think there is a little bit, last year when the Lakers lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves, they lose 4-1. Chris Finch was by far a better coach. I think a lot of people were watching and asking questions of like, what really happened to JJ Redick in the playoffs. He had a moment there, I think in the second half of Game 4, where he didn't make a substitution. It's the first time in NBA history that's ever happened. So he was attached to some things where it's like, all right, well, that's not the best way to go out. And a lot of people want to see how's he going to do in this postseason. Well, then you got the injuries to Luka, and you got the injuries to Austin Reeves. And it's like, well, how can you properly measure J.J. Redick if he doesn't have his guys? KD goes out for the Houston Rockets, and frankly, I think that opened up a door, and the Lakers obviously took advantage of it. So J.J. Redick, shout out to him of getting his first series win, and we'll see what the Lakers obviously can now do in the second round. One thing that he did say, and I think it's important to point out here, Lakers don't get this win without a ton of guys stepping up. I think one of the things that I enjoyed the most, if you told me LeBron was the best player in a playoff series, it's like, all right, yeah, it's LeBron. Not really that much of a shock. If you told me that Austin Reeves was going to come back and, struggle a little bit to try to find his bearings in regards to just coming back and being the player that he was earlier in the season, okay, not a big surprise or shock there. But if you told me that the Lakers went up 3-1 because Luke Kennard was phenomenal early in the series, if you told me Marcus Smart looked like a younger version of himself that was phenomenal on both sides of the ball, again, through those first few games, if you told me DeAndre Ayton was going to have moments where, whether it's the 19 and 11, 19 and 12, before he got that flagrant 2 a couple of games ago, if you told me yesterday the 16 rebounds performance, if you told me Rui Hachimura was going to have moments where he was carrying the Lakers and hitting big clutch shots in big moments, that's how they won this series. Lakers won this series because the role players did their part. And a lot of these role players played better than anybody thought they were going to play, overplayed their expectations, outplayed the role player role, if you want to call it that way. That's how the Lakers won this series. When they were walking in here, I remember JJ Redick, before the series started, he said something to the effect of, we just got to extend the series. And the only way the Lakers were going to extend the series is if they had some of these other guys really, really step up. And they did that. I mean, think about, again, I don't have to go through every game, but think about how big Luke Kennard was in those first couple of games. Think about how crucial Marcus Smart was in a handful of those games. Think about how big Rui Hachimura was for the Lakers yesterday, hitting clutch shot after clutch shot, hitting 5 threes for the Lakers. Think about how big DeAndre Ayton was on both sides of the floor, and there was really, no time at all. I think that, you were watching the game and you thought to yourself that there was no point where you felt like, hey, DeAndre Ayton shouldn't be in the game, or the guy's not doing his job, or you know what, he's complaining about something. That was not the case at all throughout this entire series. I'm going to play one more clip here real quick for everybody. This is LeBron postgame, again on Amazon Prime, and he's spending some time talking about how it was the other players, how each of them played a role. And he goes into kind of specifics with each guy, and nobody has to tell LeBron how the Lakers won the series. Take a listen.
Maybe a different guy, every game. I thought Luke Kennard, the way he played early in the series, obviously Marcus, was steady throughout the series, but guys just came in. Even in the loss last game, I think, DA was excellent. He had 10 offensive rebounds. Yeah. He was a monster on the glass and a monster in the paint. And then everybody kind of just played their role. And then Rui tonight was sensational, hitting big-time threes. Every time they kind of made a run, Rui hit big-time shots. So it's going to be a full committee. It's not going to be just one guy. As far as, the role players, everybody going to have their moment, and that's what the team is made of.
All right, that's LeBron, obviously talking Lake Show last night, and I love the way he explained it. I mean, anybody that knows basketball and knows the NBA, and if you're a Laker fan and it's been generations that you've been watching the Lakers, it's been, you're watching since the Showtime era, maybe even before that, or since the Shaq and Kobe era. Take the Showtime era. Are the Lakers the team they are without guys like Byron Scott and Michael Cooper and Kurt Rambis, and go down the list? Take the Shaq and Kobe era. Are the Lakers who they were in that era without Rick Fox and Robert Horry and Derek Fisher and Devin George and Brian Shaw and Ron Harper, and just go down the list? I mean, I'm just obviously naming a few. Go down to the Kobe and Powell era where they win a couple of championships. Do they get those chips without Lamar Odom and Andrew Bynum and Sasha? Go to LeBron and Anthony Davis. Do they get that championship in the bubble without Rajon Rondo and Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee and Danny Green and Alex Caruso and Kyle Kuzma? So, I mean, obviously I'm missing guys. KCP. The point that I'm trying to make is nobody's going to expect the Lakers to win a championship this year. That's obviously not in the cards. At least it doesn't seem like it. I mean, listen, if they miraculously got past the Oklahoma City Thunder, then anything can happen. But you don't get where you get to without those role players in this series that at least just gets you to round 2. And that's all you were really looking for at this point. We'll see what happens, obviously, when they play the Oklahoma City Thunder. But that's all they were looking for. Okay, Ozzy's going to get us set up here with our guest coming up here, and he'll give me a heads up when it happens. But we're going to have Khobi Price that's going to be joining the show, covers the Lakers for the California Post. So he's going to come in here in another minute or two, and he'll join the show and kind of give things from his perspective. The phone number, like I mentioned, is 866-987-2570, 866-987-2570. So that's the phone number right there. This is, I think, as we kind of start looking forward towards the next round, next up is the Oklahoma City Thunder. All right, we know the Goliath that the Oklahoma City Thunder are, right? We know just how good the Oklahoma City Thunder are, and we know what they represent around the NBA. And, we got a couple of days to break all that down. So we'll do that in just a second. Let me welcome in my guest, Khobi Price, taking some time. Again, covers the Lakers for the California Post. Good friend as well. What's going on, Khobi? Thank you for coming on.
Hey, what's up? Good morning. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, you're the perfect guy to connect with this morning, so I appreciate the time. All right, let's Lakers win in 6 games. Let me do this. I guess this would be the first question. What you thought coming into the series and how the series ended up. Can you just kind of walk me through before Game 1 starts to Game 6 ending, and here we are on a Saturday morning. Walk me through what your initial expectations were and either how surprised you were or this is what you were expecting.
No, I mean, to be quite honest, my prediction, a couple days, and wrote it for the California Post too, I had the Rockets winning in 6. But I think the series started on a Saturday, right? So that week leading into the series, I thought the Rockets were going to win in 6. Now, obviously, that was also before we found out Kevin Durant was going to be questionable for Game 1. And once he became questionable and eventually ruled out for Game 1, it felt like, okay, the Lakers, this could be their game. And then you go from Game 1 to Game 2, and then it's like, wait, this could probably be their Game 2. Like, it was funny. Like, I thought the Rockets were going to win the series. But before each game, at least the first few games, it kept feeling like the Lakers, like they, even without Luka, even without Austin, and all the changes they were going through, it felt like there was a confidence and belief in their group and what they could do despite missing, their 2 leading scorers.
Cole, let me just say this, because I think your take on the KD piece, I think you're right. Every time. And we're all in there. Obviously we're in the room there. Ime Udoka is given a status report on Kevin Durant. And when he says before Game 1, he's out, instantly for me, I'm like, wait a minute here. Any game Kevin Durant doesn't play, isn't this kind of a 50-50 game? Like, and if you wanted to give Houston the edge, and if KD is there, you pick the Rockets in 6. I'm probably the same way. I'd be shocked if the Lakers beat the Rockets without AR and without Luka. Love them with those 2 players. Even just a healthy AR, I still think the Lakers could have got past the Rockets. But I'm with you. The moment that the KD became a question, it's like, well, why can't they beat the Rockets without Kevin Durant? And I think that, obviously that continued to play out, but continue to go there, because I do agree that the moment we found out KD wasn't going in Game 1, it felt like the Lakers can certainly be in this series.
Oh, 100%. And that I mean, again, there's a lot that happened within the series, but at least to start, that changed, at least to me, that changed the complexion of the series. And obviously Kevin Durant missed, he only plays 1 of the 6 games. And even in that one game, that was Game 2 in L.A., the Lakers won that game as well. So, but even without the Kevin Durant injury, Luke and all, like, this was, the Lakers showed their grit. They showed their grit. They showed their belief. They were out here winning. If you told someone, forget before the playoffs started, if you told someone at the beginning of the regular season that the Lakers were going to win playoff games, scoring 107, 101, and 98 points, right? Really 98 and 101 are the ones that jump out. People would be, I'm sure a lot of people would have been shocked. If you told them that they were going to hold an opponent in the playoffs to 98, 94, 99, 78, right? 78, and I looked it up. I think that was the fewest amount of points in a playoff game in almost 2 years. And one of the, I forget how many times it's been since the Lakers hold teams to under 80 in a playoff game, but it's not frequent, right? It's been a while. I think it's been 12 years since that last happened, actually longer, 2012, so 14 years. They showed their grit to me in the series against the Rockets, and that was one of the biggest takeaways from the series.
Yeah, Khobi, that's kind of how I started the show. I'm like, look, defensively, the Lakers, that's what won them the series. Jumping out to that 2-0 lead. Forget the 3-0. That obviously kind of cemented everything. Jumping out to 2-0. But how they got there, and just defensively, they were phenomenal. And I do think that, coming into this series, there was the, hey, JJ, show us what you can do, your impact in this series. And whatever you thought about the Lakers coming in and whatever you thought about JJ Redick, regular season, 50 wins last season, 53 wins this year. But I do think there were some people that wanted to see, hey, let's get another round of JJ Redick in the playoffs and let's see his impact. What did you make of his impact? He does win his first playoff series in the NBA as a head coach. And clearly, in my opinion, solidified that he's got the team pulling the rope in the same direction. What did you think of how he did from a coaching perspective?
I thought it was a very strong series for JJ Redick and his coaching staff. I mean, the initial game plan from the jump against the Rockets was sound, strong, reliable. I mean, sometimes it can be hard to tell, what's coaching versus what is execution from the player side, but it's pretty evident that at least early on in the series, the Lakers were the more prepared team and more prepared, or just maybe a greater belief within their game plan. I mean, that's something that the players kept talking about throughout the entire series. Honestly, throughout the entire season, how well prepared and how the game plan that JJ and his coaching staff had for the team, how sound it would be and how much they believed in it. So it was a strong series, and, it took the Rockets a little bit of time to adjust. Took them 2.5 games, I would say, to really get into the series. But for JJ and his coaching staff, you got to tip your hat to them. Like, this was very strong coaching series for the Lakers.
Well, if it takes you 2.5 games to get into a series, you're probably not coming back in that series. But I think you're right about that. It did take them a second to adjust and to figure some things out. And even when they made their adjustments, a 2-game winning streak, I mean, the Lakers were yesterday was such a dominant performance. There is no questioning who the better team is in this series. The only thing that, you can say, obviously, unfortunately, you're looking down on the end of both of those benches, and Luka's not there, and KD's not there, and Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams. Reeves misses 4 games and is still kind of working his way back. Was it the best version of both of these teams? Of course it wasn't, but nothing you can do about injuries. That's just part of the game. Let's talk LeBron for a quick second. So I did a show on Thursday morning right here on AM 570, and I did a show on Thursday morning, and I played a clip of Charles Barkley after Lakers lost Wednesday night at Crypto. And Barkley was basically saying, and it wasn't just Barkley, there are a lot of people saying that, hey, as this series gets extended, this is not going to help LeBron. A lot of people kind of doubting, will this guy be able to close it out? I mean, he's 41, this, that. Have people not learned, and I say this genuinely because I had to go through this. I've been covering the Lakers for a long time, as you have, and I don't know if people understand that doubting LeBron is just a really, really poor decision, and you should probably give it a little bit more thought. He closes out the game. He closes out the series yesterday, 28-8-7. Just another phenomenal performance from him. What did you make of LeBron throughout this series, and what did you make of his closing performance?
He was the leading man. He was the leading man, and I know we spent so much of February going into March. That 16-2 stretch for the Lakers, where a lot of the talk was, again throughout the season, but especially in the last month or March. LeBron's, taking a step back. He's going to be the third option to Luka and Austin. Well, those guys go down, and he steps back into a leading role. And I mean, JJ was asked about it. JJ's, praised LeBron all season, the last couple seasons. 41 years old, year 23 in the NBA. There's just, feels like sometimes you just run out of great things to say about him. But it's just simply phenomenal. It's simply phenomenal to be the leading man in a playoff series. Well, he was the Lakers' leading scorer in 4 of the 6 games and 3 of their wins, right? Not just leading scorer, but leading the team in assists 5 of the 6 games, and led the team in assists in 3 of the 4 wins. He is just a great series, even without the caveats of his age or how many years he's been doing this. You're right. Like, this is it just shows you why doubting. To your point, it just shows you why doubting LeBron James has not been a smart bet over the past 23, 25 years, even going back to high school. So.
Yeah, not a good game plan. I'm with you that. Not a good game plan. Okay, I got a couple more for you, and then we're going to let you go, and I appreciate the time as always, Khobi. Real quick on just the role players, what surprised you? I don't think, obviously, the Lakers win this series. We have a good idea what the stars can do, what LeBron can do, some of these, these great players, but they don't win this series and I know it didn't have to be every game. Luke Kennard gives you a couple of games. Marcus Smart gives you a couple of games. Great on the defensive side as well. Ayton, I thought, was really consistent throughout the series and had impact. Maybe it didn't show in some of the stat lines. Other games it did show in the stat lines. 16 rebounds yesterday. Rui, just consistent clutch shots and phenomenal shooting from the three-point line. What did you make of the role players? Just your overall thoughts there.
I mean, the role players, you got a little bit from everybody, right? I mean, you mentioned DeAndre, and one of the answers is yes, you're right. His contributions didn't always show up in the stat sheet, but to me, the Lakers got to the DeAndre Ayton that they've been looking for all season, and they've had that version of DeAndre for going on over a month now. He finishes the series with averages of what? Just a shade under 12 points, almost 11 rebounds, 3.5 offensive boards, shooting 60% from the field, which was, him and Jackson led the way in that regard just in terms of the pure, field goal percentage efficiency. I mean, and even I think it was the last 3 games of the series, like you really saw DeAndre's impact also get reflected in his stats. 19 points, 18 points. Last night it was 7 points, but like you said, 16 rebounds last night, 17 in Game 5 against the Rockets, and I believe 10 of those were offensive boards. 10 in Game 4. Like DeAndre, and he had a big game, Game 1 as well with 19-11. So the Lakers got the version of DeAndre that they've been wanting. Someone who, even when he's taking six shots or 3, or I think Game 2 was 8, he's still doing the little things, still bought in, still engaged on both ends of the floor. So that's DeAndre. And Marcus, I mean, early in the series, he had it going in terms of his shooting, but defensively, I mean, we talk about, age and experience. Even at, I know Marcus isn't obviously not as old as LeBron, but was he 32 years old? And he, to me, was the best defensive player in a playoff series. DeAndre did an incredible job defending Şengün one-on-one, but I felt like Marcus's impact defensively was just all across the board, on the perimeter, on the inside, taking the charges. Took 3 last night. The Lakers, obviously, they don't win this series without Marcus. I know he didn't have the best plus-minus in the series, but, at certain points he was either their best or their second best on the court for them. You mentioned Rui. I mean, Rui was lighting it up. Like, it's like playoff Rui. Playoffs come around, it's like he just doesn't miss a three-pointer, right? So it was everybody. Luke Kennard, big Game 1 and big Game 2 to help the Lakers. Like, everybody did a little bit for the most part to help the Lakers get over the hump against the Rockets.
Khobi, great stuff, brother. I appreciate you coming on. We'll do this again as we get ready to get the Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder series started. But I appreciate you coming on the show. Phenomenal analysis, as always. That's Khobi Price from the California Post. Enjoy your weekend, brother.
Appreciate it. You too.
All right, that's Khobi Price right there. We'll go to a commercial break here. If you want to be a part of the show, 866-987-2570, 866-987-2570. All right, we come back. Let's talk a little bit about round 2, the Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Then we'll wrap this thing up. Stay right here. Thank you for being a part of the show. I'm Alan Sliwa. This is Hoops Talk on AM 570.
Back to more Hoops Talk with Alan Sliwa, breaking down the NBA playoffs on AM 570 LA Sports.
Great stuff here, talking Lakers basketball, NBA basketball here on a Saturday morning. Lakers obviously move on. They take out the Houston Rockets in 6 games. Couple quick things that I just want to make mention of here, having that conversation with Khobi Price, and then we'll start moving on. We'll talk Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's going to be the matchup in the second round. The one thing that I will say that he said, and it does kind of stick out to me, the DeAndre Ayton piece in this first round of the playoffs was a phenomenal version of DeAndre Ayton. And I think that, so most people understand this. You can have an incredible impact on a series, and you don't have to put the ball in the bucket. And you could talk about Marcus Smart, who had some games where he was, getting some shots up and everything else. He actually had some moments, some key offensive moments. And it's not that DeAndre Ayton didn't have some offensive moments as well, but I don't know if people understood how impactful he was in this first round just on what he was doing on the defensive side of the ball. Just his impact on the glass, 16 rebounds yesterday, offensive rebounds. His defense on Şengün, which I think is a nice young player in the NBA. Clearly he's not going to be the best player on a championship team, but could be a good number 2. And without KD there, that kind of shifted a lot of the attention, and now you need Şengün to put up a lot more buckets and do a lot more damage in the paint. And I thought the Lakers, and I really do believe this from a big man perspective, I thought Ayton was really, really good for the Lakers this series. It's kind of been an up and down relationship for a lot of Laker fans with DeAndre Ayton. I think there's a lot of times that, you look at Ayton early on, you're saying, oh my gosh, Lakers are getting him on a buyout. I remember chatting with a couple of people during the season. Dwayne Rankin, who covers the Phoenix Suns for the, drawing a blank here, I think it's Arizona Republic off the top of my head, covers the Phoenix Suns, and I wanted to know, hey, what was the time with DeAndre Ayton in Phoenix? Another time, I again, a little bit later in the season, had a conversation with Bill Oram, who used to cover the Lakers, now covers the Portland Trailblazers, asking him the same question. He covers it for the Oregonian. I was asking the same question about, hey, what was his DeAndre Ayton's time in Portland? And he had said something to the effect of, like, there's a reason why the Portland Trailblazers wanted him away from some of their young players. So the stigma around DeAndre Ayton, not the best. Obviously, the Portland Trailblazers paying a lot of money to see him leave the organization and come play for the Lakers. And I think most of the season, Laker fans were frustrated with DeAndre Ayton. Khobi said something about the last 30 days, how he's kind of changed his entire tune with the Lakers. You know when it happened? It happened maybe a week or two after LeBron basically accepted a different role with the Lakers. Hey, Luka's going to eat first. Reeves is going to have a lot of times on the ball, and the usage is going to go to a lot of those players, and it's up to LeBron to kind of figure out how he fits in. And LeBron didn't just do that. He excelled at it. And now here's LeBron again. All right, well, Luka's out. AR's trying to work his way back in. All right, I'll go back to on ball and try to run things. And I think one of the beautiful things of watching LeBron this series, I didn't think he was trying to overdo things. I didn't think, look, did he have some games where he had some turnovers, maybe took some bad shots? Of course, it's going to happen, but I didn't think he was forcing too much. And DeAndre Ayton about 30 days ago committed, had a conversation with Dan Weike of The Athletic, and committed to, no, I'm gonna do whatever the team needs me to do. And he put his money, where his mouth is, and basically said, all right, whatever the team needs me to do. And I thought he did that in the first round. So shout out to DeAndre Ayton, because I thought he did a great job. All right, Lakers got the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have not yet determined when game one is. At least I haven't, I know it's on Tuesday. I just don't know the time of it unless something came out here in the last half hour or so. But before the show started, there was nothing out there. Lakers got the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're going to start that series on Tuesday. And I think if I'm right here, they go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday. So they're going to be playing every other day. Clearly the biggest challenge the Lakers are going to have. Lakers went on a stretch where they finished the month of March 15-2, and everybody was hyped up and talking about the Lakers. They went up against the Oklahoma City Thunder in OKC, and not only did Luka and AR get hurt, Lakers get blown out in that game. It just wasn't a game. And you could tell that there's different classes in the NBA, and the Oklahoma City Thunder are completely in their own class. Here's the thing that I will say going into this series. Number one, I'm excited that the Lakers got the Oklahoma City Thunder. I want to know just how far the Lakers are from the champs. I want Mark Walter and their ownership group to know just how far the Lakers are from the defending NBA champs, and who knows what the Thunder are going to be here. Maybe they're building a dynasty right in front of us. But I think it's important for the Lakers to walk into this series and find out just how far, just how close, stylistically where they are. I know Luka's not going to be there, and at least to start the series, those are the reports out there. Luka won't be there to start the series. We're not sure Jalen Williams. I know by the time they start on Tuesday, Jalen Williams will have been out for 2 weeks, and he's on a week-to-week basis. At least that's what the coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder said when he initially went out with his injury. So I know it's not the best version of both teams, and of course Luka's such a key player to the Lakers, but I want to know how far the Lakers are from the Thunder. They should not be shying away from wanting to play the champs. There were some people that would tell me during the Rockets series, it's like, they're better off just losing to Houston because they're going to get blown out by the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's not the proper way to look at things. That's not how this organization should look at things. And I want to see what the Lakers look like against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And if they get their asses kicked and they're out in 4 or 5 games, then all right, then you just have a good idea of how far you are. And hopefully that, lights a fire under the organization, and they do everything they can to try to close that gap as soon as possible. But nonetheless, I want to see this matchup. I want to see Shea. I want to see Chet. I want to see, Alex Caruso and Isaiah Joe, and go down the list, and Jalen Williams. Hopefully he's available at some point. And hopefully Luka's available at some point. But I don't think the Lakers should be shying away from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think the Lakers should be looking forward to this matchup and seeing what they could do. Have some pride in who you're going up against. Let's see how JJ Redick takes this opponent against a team that's going to be heavy favorites against the Los Angeles Lakers. One step at a time. We know the Lakers just beat the Rockets, and we know round 2 will start on Tuesday. All right, a couple quick thank yous here. Thank you to Ozzy Flamenco, who handling things over at the AM 570 studios. Shout out to Brian as well, who's taking care of things out there as well. Thank you to AM 570 for going live and local at this time slot so we could talk some Lakers basketball. I'm Alan Sliwa. This is Hoops Talk on AM 570. Coming up next, Not Quite Ringside with Sammy Long and Colin Yee. LA, hope you have a great rest of your weekend.